Now tonight, a powerful politician's fall from grace. Our news partners at the Palm Beach Post got a rare glimpse of prison life for former Palm Beach County Commissioner Mary McCarty. We'll talk to the reporter who interviewed McCarty in federal prison. That was an exclusive interview, and that's coming up in just a moment. But first, News Channel 5's Mike Trim tells us how McCarty got to this point.
3.5 years, a $100,000 fine, and 3 years supervised release. This was the sentence disgraced Palm Beach County Commissioner Mary McCarty heard in a courtroom back in June of 2009. What led up to that sentence stunned people living in the county and McCarty's co-workers alike. The feds slapped McCarty with an honest services fraud charge. According to prosecutors, while she was a commissioner, she sent county projects to firms her husband Kevin was a bond underwriter for. Federal authorities also say the McCartys got kickbacks from hotel developers. They stayed at upscale hotels for little or no cost in exchange for county contracts. This all happened while McCarty was a big player in Palm Beach County politics. She was a 5-term county commissioner, and in 2000, she was elected chairwoman of the county's Republican Party. Along with Mary's sentence, the McCartys have paid back $272,000 to the government. While apologetic at her sentencing, a federal judge ordered her directly to jail. Today, a minimum security federal prison in Texas is where she calls home. Mike Trim for WPTV News Channel 5.
Tonight, George Bennett from the Palm Beach Post is joining us with some insight on this story.
George just flew back from Texas where he had that one-on-one exclusive 1-hour jailhouse interview with Mary McCarty. George, thanks so much for joining us today.
Sure.
First of all, Mary McCarty went from a prominent public figure here in Palm Beach County to behind bars, behind razor wire. What's she like? What's her demeanor like now?
Well, she looked a little better than she did in that day she was sentenced. Considering she's in a federal facility, she seemed upbeat and in good spirits. It was a little jarring to see her in a prison uniform, after being used to seeing her all those years up on the county commission dais. But she's trying to make the best, I guess, out of her situation and hoping to get out later this year.
You're going to be talking a lot in an article that's coming up, and we'll tell folks when that's going to be running in your paper. But Warren Newell tipped prosecutors off to what was going on with Mary McCarty and her husband. Did she talk about him and her feelings toward him at this point?
She did, and that's in our story, and she also talked about her feelings toward Tony Mazzolotti, who was a real enemy of hers on the county commission.
And we should say those were both county commissioners with her.
That's correct, yeah.
Yes. For folks, for the backstory there, but go ahead.
Yeah, so she offered some brief thoughts on the two of them, and just on kind of what she's doing in her everyday life there. There was a Supreme Court decision that threw out a large portion of this honest services fraud law. She talked a little bit about that and the potential implications of that, and that's all going to be in our story on Sunday.
I know you're going to talk a little bit more about, but was she warm feelings toward them, angry toward them, can you say?
She probably won't be having drinks with Warren anytime soon.
Okay.
But,
Let's stay on the theme of feelings. She apologized at her sentencing, and no cameras were allowed inside your interview. Did you get the feeling that from the tone of this hour-long interview that she is still remorseful for letting down her constituents here in Palm Beach County?
I think that's still the case. I think, she is looking to return to this community when she gets out of prison and, wants to be accepted again. So she remains as she was before she went away, apologetic.
We're almost out of time, but Martha Stewart spent time behind bars. When you think of powerful women who held this tremendous place in public life, and she came out of prison saying she had a lot of thinking to do. She was, she meditated a lot and came back out a better woman. Was there some indication that Mary McCarty was, is spending her days becoming a better person, if you will?
I think so. I think she talks a lot about, just some of the self-realization that she's come to through being in prison.
Great interview, George. You can read more about it in Sunday's Palm Beach Post. Thanks so much for joining us for that insight.
Thank you.